The Brazilian trucking experience. Did you realize that only 1 in 10 travelers to Brazil make it back alive? That claim was untrue. But the next claim, that 86% of Brazil's 2 million kilometers of roads are unpaved, is true. Brazil has the greatest road network in South America and the fourth largest in the world. Brazil heavily depends on nearly 2 million truck drivers who travel these highways, as 61% of the goods are moved there by truck. What is it like then to drive a truck in Brazil? Well, drivers can be divided into two categories: those who are employees of trucking companies and the other ones as independent drivers. Independent transporters make up to 68% of all truck drivers in the nation. Yet they are not guaranteed any rights under the Brazilian law governing labor relations, the consolidation of labor laws. Despite the fact that truck driving has been a profession for many years, Brazilian trucking was only recently regulated in 2012, leaving some areas of the sector in the dark. This is going to sound bad, and I guess it is, but for many Brazilian trucking companies, the cost of fuel is a bigger concern than the safety of their drivers, with running fuel costs accounting for a much larger portion of operating expenses than driver compensation. Because of this, drivers who are employed and independent contractors both experience pressure to put up with poor and occasionally degrading working conditions. Although there is a significant variation dependent on experience, vehicle ownership status, and operating area, the typical Brazilian truck driver works about 11 hours per day and travels 120,000 kilometers in a year. On average, they make about $350 per month. Loneliness, health-related problems, disrespect, and governmental regulations are the four main sources of stress for truck drivers. One of the emotions that characterize a job in truck driving is loneliness, which can lead to a wide range of other problems. The effects of loneliness are strongly correlated with those of exhaustion, sadness, and burnout, all of which can be temporarily alleviated by finding other interests. Truck drivers are not exempt from the widespread issue of distracted and intoxicated driving in Brazil. It is believed that 10% of the drivers abuse various stimulants, popularly known as repai, to stay awake while operating a vehicle. Many drivers are seeking some sort of relief from the never-ending boredom of driving. Thus, excessive indulgence in side pursuits like checking their phone or fiddling with the radio is also a problem. Like many other nations in the Americas, Brazil lacks appropriate roadside amenities like restrooms, showers, and variety of wholesome foods. Drivers' physical and mental health are both impacted by a disregard for their fundamental requirements, which when combined with extreme loneliness is a recipe for disaster. In addition, stress, sleep deprivation, and sexually transmitted diseases have a significant negative impact on many truck drivers' quality of life. As is all too often the case, Brazilian truck drivers experience social discrimination and are frequently mistreated as a result by both the general public and the trucking industry. Many Brazilian truck drivers feel as if they are not in charge of their own lives. Rather, their employer, government, or even beliefs in God or luck are in control, a phenomena which is linked to stress and work-related loss of independence, another contributing cause to wearing and burnouts. So given all these unfavorable sides to the work, why do individuals do it? Either that they don't know how to do anything else or haven't been presented with the opportunity to do something else. There is something that draws people to truck driving which surpasses any socioeconomic barrier, and that thing is the ability to drive a massive vehicle. Brazil has a wide array of trucks from different countries which can be seen in operation, both of a conventional and a cab-over style, but there is certainly a preference for the latter. Brazil is also home to a large number of rigid trucks. One Brazilian truck modification known as arqueiro is unique to the country's trucking culture. This modification sees the rear of the truck being lifted while the front is lowered, a welcome sight for any eyes which have seen the horrific implication of the inverse, the Carolina squat. There are many allowed combinations between tractors and trailers of all varieties, and the country even has their own version of road trains which usually have two trailers linked together. As a net importer of oil, Brazil is incredibly prone to supply chain disruptions over fuel prices and availability. which has led to multiple driver strikes in recent history. The most notable of these was in 2018, when a combination of economic factors such as decline in the value of the Brazilian real and government policies, which raised the price of oil, coalesced in a rush for fuel and a massive strike from the nation's truck drivers. Highways across the country were blocked by angry truckers as fuel became more and more scarce. Furthermore, Brazil's freight sector has numerous opportunities to use energy more efficiently, reduce carbon emissions, and improve air quality by taking steps such as replacing older trucks, improving fuel economy, and investing in rail and roads. Brazil has some of the largest trucks in the world, with heavy trucks playing a critical role in hauling agriculture commodities and accounting for 60% of total freight energy used in the country. Over the past 2 decades, the efficiency of Brazil's trucks has improved thanks to the policies to spur innovation in the auto industry, modernize roads, restrict emissions, and advance alternative fuels. At the same time, Brazil can further benefit by building on existing policies and drawing on international experience. For example, 6% of trucks are over 30-year-olds, and replacing these would significantly reduce consumption and emission. In addition, the economic crisis in Brazil in recent years significantly affected the cargo transportation sector and had a negative impact on transport operators and the entire vehicle production chain. One of the challenges of this crisis and the reduction in demand for freight was to maintain the value of freight service amid the increase in the cost. This generated a tense relationship between various entities in the supply chain and culminated in strikes and protests in 2018 against the increase in the price of the diesel. This is relevant when analyzing the opportunities for advances in energy efficiency policies, initiatives, and actions. It could mean an opportunity to reduce fuel consumption, but it created a core conflict of interest that who would invest in. Another thing I wanted to mention is Carga Pesada, which translates to heavy load, a dramatic TV show which ran from 1979 to 1981 and covered the life of 2 Brazilian truck drivers and their massive Scania truck. Truck drivers, no matter the country, live on the edge of society. Not only their careers, but their way of life is almost certain to end by the turn of the century. Being a truck driver is an underappreciated profession. There are nasty stereotypes, and the general public often show a lack of respect to truckers when they're on the road. Driving a truck is often considered to be a last resort profession.